Last thing is delegating the sales leadership responsibilities to someone who can scale the sales team for you. That's what we want, right? We want to, have the perfect leader, right? Like Brandon. Brandon's been with me for 3 years. By the way, he went through this whole process. And the way that I'm going to go through this advancement piece, this is how he advanced into his role for Sales Recruiting University. Perfect leader. If I could for sure make all leaders like him in the future, I would do that. Okay. And my general point is I want to make it clear that the process works. But this is about delegating the sales leadership responsibilities to someone who can scale the sales team for you. Some notes before we walk through the steps. Hiring outside sales leadership, it's risky, okay? 80% of the time, it doesn't work, at least from our perspective. And it can be very expensive, both from a cash investment perspective and a time, investment perspective, right? If you waste 3 to 6 months of your time as an owner, you're losing money, especially if you have this leader that didn't work out when you could have been building the team the right way. And maybe that leader is managing over reps and they're, screwing up opportunities to retain those reps. But my point is 80% of the time from our experience, when companies hire outside sales leadership to come into the company, it doesn't work out. The majority of companies that hire outside sales leadership to come in, they have to, put some cash investment into that to recruit the person. And it still doesn't work out 80% of the time. And they're losing time, they're losing money. When companies, sales organizations, and this is all, every type of sales organization, when a sales company actually gets lucky and recruits a good leader, and they're in that 20% that actually worked out, another thing that's still risky is they may not be a great fit for the organization. Let's say I have a really good, a comp plan to recruit an outside sales leader, and I have the capability to get that relationship and to persuade them into our opportunity, and the opportunity is sexy enough for them to say yes, right? Even if they fulfill the responsibilities, what if they really misalign with my values? Or what if I hate working with them, right? But they're fulfilling the needs of the sales department, but me as the owner or the VP or the president, whatever, I really do not like working with this person. Man, that is a negative that's not a good thing, right? But the general point is hiring outside sales leadership, more times than not, it doesn't work out. So we have a process that we're going to talk through, which kind of puts you in a place to get the perfect leader for sure. You don't want to wake up in 6 months and have hired the wrong leader, and you've wasted 3 to 6 months of building your business, and you got to drop this person that just wasted you a ton of time and money. So you guys should take the for sure route so that you can delegate interviewing, hiring, onboarding, team meetings, one-on-ones, management, sales coaching. All that is required to build a good sales department. You guys want to take this process to ensure 100% you can delegate that responsibility and continue to step back and focus on your A to Z business as a whole and not be trapped up in the sales department forever. And I get too that some of this context maybe doesn't apply to the medium or large size business, but this process is still applicable to you because you most likely, if you're a larger or medium sized business, will continue to grow and will need additional leaders. But here's the process for advancing reps into sales management. Okay, it's a 4-step process to transition them. The first one is they're 100% bought in to your opportunity, to your mission, to your values. They have a great attitude, and they're also a top sales performer. I do not want to advance somebody into sales leadership that sucks at selling what we sell, because if they cannot properly coach and lead other people to sell better, right? If you're my manager and I'm making $80K per year and I'm capped there because of my skill set, and the comp plan allows me to make 150 to 200, and you cannot lead me and coach me to make, crack the 6-figure mark and more, then you're not very useful to me. Okay. And so the first step in this process is hiring people, but letting it play out for a good 3 to 6 months. Okay. And what I mean by that is you want to see how they show up. Are they flaky? Do they have a good attitude? Are they committing to are they doing their commitments? Do they love what we do? Do they love the product and service that we sell? Do they align with our values? Are they really excited about our company vision? And are they actively selling at a super high level that makes me say, hey, this person knows how to sell what we sell, and I am potentially interested in them teaching others in the future? What you want is for a new hire to execute at those things for like 3 and sometimes up to 6+ months. Now, the timeline is dependent on your preference. But the shorter that you make the transition into, step two, the higher likely it is to have issues. And what I mean by that is I could come work for you, and you may have seen this in the past. I can come work for you and work harder than anybody you've ever seen at your organization for 60 days, right? And you go, I'm definitely going to start transitioning this person. But then at the end of 60 days, I get burnt out, and all of a sudden my work ethic is radically different. Those things can happen if you do this too quickly. So it is preference-based, and it also is based on how much pain you're in as maybe an owner or a VP, and what I mean by pain is how much you direly need leadership, right? The more pain that there is, typically the shorter that you make this process, but the longer that you kind of delay the first step, the more for sure the right person is getting into the leadership role. Just like when you have like a boyfriend or a girlfriend, right? If you've ever had this experience, you don't really know who they are until like after the 6+ month mark. It's kind of the same thing in first step. Man, if we can make this first step go 6+ months, and me as the owner or whatever my title is, I can play that leadership role. That is just protecting me long-term. If I put the wrong person in place and start to delegate too quickly, my whole sales team can blow up. And so my point is at least 3, if you can up to 6+ months. I would say most of our clients are kind of doing it on the 3 side because they're just trying to grow and they need the leader. So it's not that it doesn't work out. It's just the safer route if you wait longer. But the first step is they love the mission, the vision, the values. They can sell at a high level, all those things that I mentioned earlier. And you see that consistent for 3 to 6+ months. Once you see that, that is a good sign that this person could potentially be a leader at your business. Step 2 is giving them one responsibility. This responsibility comes without the financial benefit and the title. Okay, the reason that not giving the financial benefit and not giving the title out in step 2 is because you want to see if they actually want it. Everybody wants to be a closer, or everybody wants to be a manager, but most cannot see success in it. 80+% of people cannot actually execute at that type of stuff. And so you want to see if that sales rep that's been selling really well, if they are, service oriented enough to serve you without having the financial and time benefit, serve you and benefit the company of doing this additional task I'll go over in a second. If they do that without the financial benefit and title, and they execute at it, that means, hey, on top of continuing to sell, they got to sell, by the way, in steps 1, 2, and 3, they still got to continue to sell at a high level. But if in step 2, you give them this responsibility without the financial and time benefit, and they do that and they consistently execute at that and sell, that's a sign that they're really bought in and they care about, the company outside of just themselves. A lot of the times a top performer, they just want to stay in their own little bubble and do their own thing. And a lot of the times they're not the person to be the right leader. So if you give the financial and time benefit and leadership benefit too quickly, and then you take that away, that's more of a painful thing than not giving that stuff up front and it not working out, right? So when I take them into step 2, it's like, hey, here's step 2. I want to see how you do this over a 60-day period or 30-day period or 90-day period or whatever. No financial and time benefit, right? You don't communicate it like this. I'm just trying to get through the training. And really why that is I want to make sure that you really want this position, right? I want to see if you'll do the additional work outside of sales plus selling and execute at that and serve the company in this unique way. What that shows to me, John or Sally or whatever, is that you're about the company and the vision and the opportunity and growing as a person, and actually down for something outside of just personal sales, which is what you're communicating. So step 2 is A, B, and C. Now, what's actually the instruction there? That could be step 2 is recruit one person into the organization that gets up to quota, or it's really common for our clients is they start to delegate like field training or call reviews in the onboarding process for new hires. One of the things that's lacking in a lot of like smaller businesses onboarding processes is they're not reviewing pitches of new hires. For our clients, a lot of the time that still exists for the first few months until they start to get some leadership stepping up and they delegate the task like I'm talking about right now. But a really popular thing that you can do in step 2 is say, you've done this for 3 to 6 months. First task without the financial time benefit is whenever we onboard new hires, I want you to review their first 5 pitches in their first 2 weeks or something like that, right? And I want to see how you execute at that in the first 60 days. Here's the framework to do that. And then you let them follow through. And if they execute, then they go into step 3, which is just taking on 1 to 3 more responsibilities and continuing to sell. Those 1 to 3 additional responsibilities, typically, not always, they're involved maybe in the recruiting and or the onboarding process, maybe administrative onboarding, or maybe day 1 of orientation, or maybe your group interviews or final interviews. But typically, it's delegating the initial phases, right? Because you got the current team that maybe the owner or the VP or whatever is managing, and that current team has trust with that leader. So him or her doing the one-on-ones, the team meetings, and the sales coaching for the existing reps, that's better because the trust is there. But step 3, you start to delegate maybe some of the recruiting and the onboarding responsibilities. Don't put too much on this person in step 3, but that you put more on them. You provide some type of leadership title, some type of small financial benefit, and they're like your co-leader. And it's like, I want to see how you do this for the next 60 days while having the pressure of still bringing in revenue and selling at the company. Once you do that and you accomplish A, B, and C, that's a sign to me, you're our guy or gal, and I'm going to transition you into step 4, which is the full-time sales leader. And by this time, the current sales team has seen how this person has served the owner or whoever the higher level leader is. Those people are building trust and respect for this person that is helping scale up the team and get new hires going. And so when that transition into the full-time sales leadership thing happens, there's that trust there. So the taking over of the one-on-ones and the team meetings and all those things is a good transition for the current sales reps. Now, hopefully this 4-step process made sense, but what this does, it allows you to protect yourself, protect your time, although it can feel like kind of a lengthy process. It allows you to protect yourself from not putting the wrong person in place, which you don't want. When we talk about leadership, it needs to be the right person, right? Business is challenging, right? Like as an example, Brandon, our VP, now partner on this meeting, if everything blew up, right? If our 44-person company, blew up tomorrow and we had to fire, 30 people and we went down to 14 people as an example, right? And the whole sales team lost and Brandon's income dropped by 50% as an example. He would do? He'd be like, let's freaking ride and rebuild it, right? That's what you need, right? You need a ride or die leader that loves the opportunity, the mission, the vision, all that stuff. And this is a way to systematically advance them to ensure that you put that right person in place. And then from there, it's all about retention. You got to retain that person long-term. And that's about job experience and income. Lastly, before we move on, is what's really cool about this process, whether it takes you, to go through all 4 steps, 6 months or 9 months or whatever, it forces you to build your sales department systems throughout the process. You're actively recruiting, you're actively onboarding, training, managing people, doing meetings, doing one-on-ones, and you're becoming an expert at what it looks like to actually successfully build a sales department. So by the time that you actually delegate it to the full-time sales leader that went through the 4 steps, they have an amazing process to run everything. And then all of a sudden you're the owner or VP or whatever your title is, you step back and you're a support system for them. You're almost like their co-leader, whatever you need, let's rock and roll. And then they're looking for who their assistant manager is going to be riding up into the same 4-step process.